Hey, I'm Jeff Baumgartner with Light Reading. We're here at the big 5G event in Austin, Texas, and I'm glad to be joined by Mark Poletti with CableLabs. Great to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Sure thing. So here at the event, you're on a panel focused on vRAN, Open RAN, right? So I mean, what is CableLabs' view on those technologies? And I guess from a high level, why are they important right now to the cable industry?
We're very supportive of Open RAN, vRAN to Open RAN activities, and we do a lot of work with Open RAN, vRAN to Open RAN transition strategies. And we believe that right now the industry is in a tipping point of a lot of activity and transition from vRAN to Open RAN. And the advantages of Open RAN are deployment flexibility, vendor diversity, and a more competitive ecosystem. And then lastly, faster innovation. So, and right now, we see the industry as starting out as a good starting point with vRAN. So a lot of operators we're seeing are starting with virtual RAN. They're disaggregating the RAN and they're starting with virtual RAN on their path towards Open RAN. And we think that's a really good strategy to start with.
Okay, and what kind of, you're taking a look at maybe how it fits in to the cable activity, but is there some specific work that CableLabs is doing around vRAN, Open RAN? Are you doing any sorts of trials or tests with operators or even in your own lab?
Yeah, so we have a 5G lab. We've got a full-fledged set of test equipment to test Open RAN. So we do conformance, performance, and interoperability testing. So we're leveraging the long history that CableLabs has with the DOCSIS program, where we work with the ecosystem and we conduct neutral host lab activities for the ecosystem, where we support. It's a vendor neutral host lab, and we're leveraging that for the Open RAN community and the Open RAN ecosystem.
Okay, so that's all set up, right? So what do you think are the next steps? Just to continue more of that activity, or is there something kind of on the roadmap?
So a couple things. So one thing we do is we're in the ORAN Alliance, we're an OTIC certified lab, which means that we can certify individual Open RAN components, and we can test systems, and we can do end-to-end testing per their test plans and their standard. So we support and we host plug fests to support those types of activities. And then secondly, we've been selected by the NTIA to support the 5G challenge. And the 5G challenge is set up by the NTIA to promote conformance, performance, and interoperability testing for the ecosystem, and they have prize money for contestants that go through this. And the whole point is to start with conformance testing, and then get contestants that pass the conformance test, and then integrate them, cold integration, cold interoperability. So you have 3 vendors that have never integrated with each other, and they plug in and they do plug and play, and they complete an interoperability test.
Well, how much money is at stake here?
For last year's 2023 challenge, it was $3 million for the whole event, and then this year, which is we're about halfway through, it's a $7 million prize, and it doesn't go to one contestant; it's spread out with different stages of testing.
Interesting.
So we've been pretty active in that, and we're also continuing to use our lab for for the industry to test, and we also have so we're doing internal tests within CableLabs, where we're looking at different so we're looking at trade-offs of vRAN to Open RAN evolution, like how will an operator transition from vRAN to Open RAN, and we look at different RAN splits. We look at different transport types across those RAN splits, and we also look at the trade-offs of use cases with those architectures and deployment strategies.
Okay. Well, when I kind of look at what the cable industry is doing in mobile and wireless, there are different stages, right? I mean, some have MVNO deals in place, but they're also integrating it with Wi-Fi and maybe CBRS, maybe some other type of spectrum, to get more owners' economics out of mobile and wireless. So even though not everybody's in lockstep, doing the same exact thing, how do you kind of see vRAN, Open RAN fitting into that kind of activity?
Yeah. So, a couple ways. So in order to support Open RAN, you need to have a shared compute platform, and you share storage. So you have to create this hardware and underlying architecture platform to support Open RAN, and the whole point of Open RAN is it's disaggregated, and well, that's what's happening to the cable network. It's becoming virtualized and disaggregated. So we kind of view that platform that's being used for Open RAN will also be shared with the cable infrastructure, and then potentially the Wi-Fi infrastructure. So you think of it as where we're going is different access networks can be used and utilized across a shared infrastructure. That's where we want to go.
Great. And earlier, last thing I want to talk about, you talked about all the advantages and the reasons why this is important, why it's beneficial. For the cable industry, then, what's kind of the biggest challenge here right now? Is it maybe trying to figure out, hey, where do I start? Or is it bigger than that because it's cross-industry, it might be new?
Yeah, I would say that the biggest challenge is to create a vendor diverse ecosystem where it creates a competitive landscape for the vendors, so that it offers the operators more choices to meet their use cases and their deployment needs and their services that they want to deploy. So and by creating this, it allows for faster innovation, which is what they want. They don't want to be they don't want to be at the same pace that they are right now with the monolithic vendors.
Okay. Well, great. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing where it leads and kind of keeping tabs on the work that CableLabs is doing in those areas, and I'll definitely stay in touch with you guys. But Mark, thanks a lot for joining us here.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the time.
Sure thing.
Okay.